Good morning, everybody. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. All right, everybody. My name is Miss Wood, and today we're going to be learning about the relationship among functions and quantities. Can anybody tell me what a function may be? Silly? Yes, it's like an equation, okay? Now I have some terms that we're going to go over just to kind of get you familiar with functions and quantities. So let's go over those on the board for you so you can see visually what these terms are. Okay. Alright. So first we're going to read them, and then I'm going to show you an example of what it may look like, okay? Alright, so a function is a relationship between two sets where each element of the first set is matched with one element of the second set. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like in just a moment. Okay, an input and an output. An input are the numbers in the first set. The output are the numbers in the second set. Okay? So let's kind of go over that in an example because I want you to really know what these kind of look like. And today we're going to be looking at them more in table form so you can kind of see exactly what they look like, and we're going to look at them in the equation form as well before we start doing our examples, okay? All right. So let me erase this because you know my name. All right. Okay, so let's say we have a table, right? Okay. And we've been working on creating tables from word problems and coming up with, you know, what the x and the y are varying upon the word problem that we were talking about. And so here we have an x and a y, correct? We have our columns, kind of like a T-chart like we've been learning, right? Okay, so say we have these numbers in our x, okay? All right, can anybody tell me maybe what these x quantities may be called? Another word for them? Just think about it. What could these numbers represent? Billy? Good job. The input. So when I talk about input, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the x value, okay? Like in a word problem, and we'll see those in the examples that we're going to do in a moment, okay? Say our y values are 10, 20, 30, 40, okay? What's another word for these? Can somebody tell me? Jen? The output. Okay, good job. All right, so now you can kind of see an input and an output in table form. Let me show you a function form, okay? Say we have the function y equals, let's do 9x, okay? We all know that this means we're going to multiply, right? Okay. So can somebody tell me, okay, so this is what a function is. This is what a function looks like. It's an equation. We've been working on equations. We all know what equations are, right? Okay, so here's our function, y equals 9x. This means we're multiplying, correct? Okay. So, can somebody tell me where the input may be at? After we read the word problem, where do we put the input value? Anybody? Sally? You're right here. This is where you're going to put your input. Okay? Can somebody tell me where your output is going to go? Billy? Correct. Right here. This is going to be where your output is going to go. Okay? And once we read the word problems and we come up with the functions, you'll see how the input and the output do relate and how they also relate to the functions, okay? All right. So let's get started. Do I have any questions? Questions about functions, inputs, outputs? Sally, you have a question? Okay, her question was, are the input and the outputs relative to the x and y coordinates? Yes, they are. When we get into this unit, we will look at how to convert these functions into tables and then also into graphing. When we get to graphing, those will connect, and you'll see that for the x and y coordinates, okay, as far as graphing goes. But today we're just learning about the relationships among the functions and the quantities in a word problem, okay? All right, so let's get started. We have our first question. Okay, I'm going to put up this question, and I want you to really read it, because after you read it, I'm going to ask you what's the steps you might take to solve this problem. Then I'm going to show you the steps that we're going to take, okay? All right, so let's read it together. It says, a rectangle has a length of 5 feet and a width of 4 feet. What is the area? Okay, so what are you trying to find, Sally? Okay, good, the area. Okay, it also asks you another question, and some questions, like on your homework, may ask you 2 questions, okay? Okay, it says, how is the area related to these measurements? We can already guess what this answer may be, but let's talk about the steps first, and then we will talk about this question. Okay, so keep this in mind. I wanted to show you this question before we talk about the steps so you can kind of see where I'm coming up with the steps, okay? All right, so let's see. These are the steps that we're going to be following today. Stay on there. Okay. All right. So let's read the steps together, okay? First step that we're going to do is read the problem. You want to read the problem very carefully because it's going to tell you what operation you're going to want to use, what kind of function you're going to come up with, okay? Second, we're going to match the problem with an equation. That's just saying, trying to figure out what the equation is going to be so that you can solve the question that they're asking you, okay? Step 3, you're going to write the equation. Step 4, you're going to solve the equation. Solving the equation means what, Jen? Correct. Putting the input into the function to come up with the output. Great job. Okay? Now, on your 5th step, you're going to write your answer in complete sentence form. Yes, you're going to get your answer when you solve the equation, but I want you to write your answer to the word problem in complete sentence, okay? And you'll see kind of what I mean when we get into our examples, okay? So I'm going to put these right here for you to refer to when we're going over our examples, because you're going to have to be familiar with them as we go along and when you do your homework and your paired work today, okay? All right, so here's our question, and I'm going to write each step in the same color so you can kind of see what we're doing, all right? So first step, reading the problem, figuring out what they're asking you. Okay, so let's read it again. A rectangle has a length, so we're going to be looking at the length, and the width, okay, of a rectangle, okay? Can somebody tell me what the equation to find the area of a rectangle is? We've learned this, so think back of when we did this. What's the equation to find the area of a rectangle? Sue? Good job. Okay, so it's gonna be area equals length times width. Good job. So that's gonna be your function. Okay, so we read the problem, right? So we can check that. We did. Good job. All right, our second step is matching the problem with an equation or a function. Okay, and so you kind of did that for us already. Okay, so we figured out that our equation or our function for the problem is going to be area equals length times width. Okay, and we wrote the equation as well. So let's do that. And you don't have to color code them when you're writing them for your homework today. You can just write them, because I'm going to ask you to write the steps that you did. So, okay. So then we're going to write the equation, right? So we said it was area equals length times width. Now, we are going to write the equation out with our inputs. What are our inputs, Sally? Good. Our inputs are 5 feet and 4 feet, because that's what we're going to plug into the function so we can find out the area. Okay, so here we go. Area equals, what's the length? 5. Good job. 5 times, what's the other input? What's the width? Good job. 4 feet. All right, can somebody tell me what 5 times 4 is? Jen? Give her a minute to figure it out. Okay, good job. 20. All right, so we did. We solved step 4. We solved the equation or the function of the problem. Okay, so do we stop here? No, we don't. We have to write it out, right? So let me show you what I mean by writing it in complete sentence form. Okay? So, the area of a rectangle is 20 feet. Okay? So then it's asking you, how is the area related to these measurements? Well, in order to get the area of a rectangle, you need the length and the width, right? Because that's the function. Right. Okay, so that would be your answer. So the area of a rectangle is made up of length times width. Okay? So does everybody kind of understand what I mean by function and input output? All right, good job. Now let's look at our second example. Okay? So let's see. All right. I'm going to put this up on the board. And Jen, when I'm done putting this up on the board, I want you to read it out loud to the class. Okay? Go ahead, Jen. All right, good job. All right, so now we're going to, remember, we got to look at our steps, figure out what we're going to do. First, we got to read the problem. Jen, you did that for us, but I'm going to reread it for you, okay? It says, Fred sells apples for 58 cents a piece. If Fred sold 18 apples, how much money did he make? Okay, so let's see. All right, so our first step, let me get the other marker so you can see the steps in color code. Okay, so we read the problem, correct? Can we figure out what our input is going to be? Our input values? Right, 58 cents, 58 cents and 18. Okay, so those are our two quantities in our word problem that we found. Okay, so let's see. What kind of equation do you think we're gonna perform for this question? Can somebody give me a thought on what we're gonna be? We're gonna be finding out how many apples he sold. So what do you think the equation is going to be? Okay. Sally, that's good. That's a good observation. So first she says we should write it out, like what we're gonna be finding. So that's a good match the problem with an equation. Okay, so we have to find how many, so 58 cents per apple, right? Okay, so we're trying to find that. That's our x, right? Okay, so y equals. Okay, so we're going to be doing cents a piece. Good job, class. Times how many sold equals how much money made. Good job. All right, so let's write our function in function form. So what do you think it's gonna be, Billy? Y equals how many they are a piece times, you can use X or A or whatever. You wanna do A? Okay. All right. So now, since we have our third step, which is writing the equation, we're gonna solve the equation, okay? So let's solve the equation. Okay. So we have, I'm gonna put this up here so you kind of know. Y'all already wrote down the word problem, right? You have it in your notebook? Okay. So we can have a little more room to solve it. Okay, so here's our equation. Y equals 58 cents times A. Okay? So this is always going to be the same, right? Okay, so bring them down. And what are we inputting into the A? How many he sold, right? How many apples did he sell? 18. Okay, so we're going to put 18. Okay, now I want everybody at their tables to try and figure that out on their own, and then I'll give you a minute to look at that, okay? Is everybody ready? Okay, Sally, what did you get for your answer? Okay, and you multiplied 58 cents times 18 and you got $10.44. Did everybody else get that? Good, that's correct. Okay, so are we going to leave it like this? Because that's our answer. Are we going to leave it like that? No, we're not. Good. We're going to write it in complete sentence form. Okay, so let's write it. Step 5. Okay, Fred made $10.44 when he sold 18 apples. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Okay, does everybody understand the steps Okay, because I'm going to leave them here for you, especially when we start to do our practice problems as groups, okay? So let's do one more example. Okay, let me erase this because we don't want to get confused. Okay. Let's put up our other one. Alright, this is going to be our last example. Remember our steps. Become familiar with them. Alright, Millie, can you read this to the class, please? Good job. Okay. So remember, our first step is to what? Read the problem. Okay, so we're going to read the problem. Brandon rides his bicycle 35 miles in 5 hours. How fast is he going in miles per hour? Remember, that's abbreviated as MPH. Okay? So we read the problem. Okay? Check. All right. Then we're going to match the problem to an equation. Can somebody tell me what they think we're going to be trying to find here, what the equation may be? Good job, Sue. Yes, we are trying to find how fast he's going per hour. So, we're trying to figure out miles per hour. Okay? Can somebody tell me what operation we're going to be using? Are we going to be using multiplication, division, adding, subtraction? Okay, good. Dividing. What do you think we're going to divide here? Are we going to divide miles by hours or hours by miles? Right. Miles divided by hours. Good. All right. So since we have matched this, now let's write it out in function form. Let me get my green marker so you can see the steps in color code. Okay, so y'all all have the problem written in your notebook, correct? So I can put some more room up here for everyone to see. All right, so third step, MPH equals miles divided by hours. So now we're going to plug it in, and that goes under solving the equation, right? Okay. All right, so let's do it. Miles per hour equals, how many miles is he going? 35 miles in 5 hours, right? So we're going to do 35 divided by 5, because this is miles and this is hours. Okay, so now we're going to divide it. And Sue, can you tell me what 35 divided by 5 is? Good job. It's 7. Now, are we going to leave it like this? Because that's not really answering the word problem, is it? No, we're going to write it in complete sentence form. Correct. Okay. So now let's write it, okay? It's going to be like this. Brandon rode his bicycle at 7 miles per hour. That's kind of fast, huh? All right. So see, we followed each step. We came up with the equation, the function. We put our inputs in there. We solved the equation. And then we wrote it to answer the word problem in correct form, complete sentence form. Okay? All right. So does anyone have any questions? Because we're going to do practice problems in our math groups. And everyone's going to have to kind of move around and get in the groups. And I'm going to give you 3 problems to work on. Okay? And I'm going to write them on the board. So as you're getting situated, I'm going to write them on the board for you so that you can write them in your notebook and then you can solve them. Now, when you're solving these, I want you to write them in your notebook, and then I want you to not only solve them, but I also want you to put step by step what you did, because you're going to be turning in your practice notebooks, and I want to see your step by step process, okay? All right, so everyone get in their math groups, and then once I'm done writing, you can start, okay? Billy, get in your seat, please. Thank you. Everyone needs to be getting in their groups. There's no talking. Okay. There's 3 questions, okay? I'm gonna